be sitting in a pew.
Everyone. Good morning. This is Tell Me the Truth About Racism. And I need to tell everybody that I'm a little bit nervous here. So I'm going to ask everybody to do a 3-breath prayer with me as we get ready so that we can really think about Ruby Bridges this morning. So please, everyone, breathe in with me and remember that God is God, and breathe out. And breathe in with me and remember that we are not, and breathe out. And breathe in with me and be grateful, and breathe out. I think she's okay. In the beginning, before there was anything, there was love. And God loved so much that God made a very big world, and God put lots of people in that big world. And God loved each one of them and called them by name. And God wanted all the people to love each other the same way that God loved them. But some people were afraid of the differences, and they did not love each other the way that God dreamed. This is the United States of America. And this here is where we live in St. Paul. This is where the Dakota lived before the European people came. There are lots and lots of people who stand up better when they're not in this United States, but they do live in the United States, and there are lots and lots of people. And they are very different, and they all sing, and they all dance, and they all eat special foods, and they worship God the way that they worship God, and they fight with their neighbors. After the Civil War, the lie that caused the sin of racism had moved a little bit. But it closed in around people with brown skin. It made it harder for them, even though the law said that they were free now. Because of the lie, pale-skinned people made more and more rules to tell everyone that they were better. The rules called the pale-skinned people white. And some white people decided what life would look like for everybody else. Many people weren't allowed to be called white. They weren't allowed to make the rules. They just had to do whatever the white people said. Some, like the Dakota people, were made to live in reservations where they were not allowed to speak their languages or worship their religion. Some of the people who weren't allowed to be called white were called black, especially the people related to the enslaved people, like the Congo and the Yoruba and the Akan people from Africa. The rules were so unfair. The white people could use the front doors, and all the other people were supposed to use the back doors. The white people could live wherever they wanted, but there were rules about where everyone else were allowed to live. White people were allowed to open businesses, and it was very difficult for anybody who was not white to open a business. White people had nicer bathrooms, beaches, seats at concerts, on buses, and even at church. Even though black people and indigenous people were angry about this, some white people made sure that the rules did not let them fight back. Sometimes the white people would bully the black people just to show that they were in charge. And sometimes they would kill the white people or the black people for no good reason. Sometimes they would even kill them by churches. And the white people were not punished or sent to jail. Even though they broke God's commandment not to kill, these same white people would go to church on Sunday as if they had done nothing wrong. That is how deeply they believed the lie that they were better than black people. The clearest place you could see the differences in people's lives that the lie made was at schools. White people's schools had money and teachers and books for buildings. It was easier for white students to learn to be doctors and lawyers and professors, jobs that could make lots of money. Black people had to make their own schools out of houses with volunteer teachers and not as many books. And black students were taught to pick cotton and wash laundry and carry heavy things, all jobs that didn't make much money. Yet many black people became doctors and lawyers and professors and learned to do much more than they were taught. Indigenous people, sometimes they were given schools that looked very nice by the white Christians. But inside these schools, instead of helping students learn, they wanted children to forget They wanted them to forget their language and their religion and even their families. Many students died because they didn't want to forget those things that they loved. One day, something changed. A new law made the lie move. This law said it was not fair for black students and white students to go to different schools. It made the white people very upset. Instead of sending their children to school, they stood outside to throw rocks and yell mean things. Many black families were very scared and stayed home. But one family wanted so much for their 6-year-old daughter to have the same chances as white students. They were also very worried that it might not be safe. Before the first day of school, this family went to church and prayed long and hard. And God got closer to them, and they got closer to God. And God gave them courage to remember God's dream. The little girl's name was Ruby Bridges. And on the first day of school, there were so many people standing at the school and shouting at her and throwing things at her that a policeman had to walk with her to keep her safe. When she got to school, she had a teacher named Barbara Henry. But Ruby was the only student in that class. No other children wanted to be in that class with her, and no other children were there to eat with her or to play with her. Day after day, Ruby walked to school and then went to school alone with her teacher. And day after day, white people screamed at her and tried to hurt her. One day, on her way to school, Ruby stopped right in front of the mob, yelling and screaming at her. It looked like she was talking to them. When Ruby got to class, Miss Barbara asked her what she had been saying to them. "I wasn't talking to them. I was praying for them," Ruby said. "Every day, I stop a few blocks away to pray for the people who hate me." But that morning, she forgot to pray until she was already in the middle of the mob. This is the prayer that Ruby prayed. "Please, God, try to forgive these people, because even if they say those bad things, they don't know what they're doing. Just like you did those folks a long time ago when they said terrible things about you." In these moments, God would come close to Ruby, and Ruby would come so close to God that she was courageous and had enough courage to go to school every day. With courageous people like Ruby Bridges, the lie rumbled. But it did not go away. And this may sound like it was a long time ago, but Ruby Bridges is still alive. In 2010, President Obama honored her at the White House. And in 2024, She was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. And now it's time for us to wonder. I wonder if, like Jesus was tempted by Satan, if Ruby was tempted to be angry and yell back at the people who didn't like her. What do you wonder about from this story? I wonder if Ruby is still close to God. What do you wonder? Yeah, do you have something? What do you have that you're wondering about? Charlie says that maybe Ruby was probably scared a bit. Adults, what are you wondering about with all of this? Let me know, and I will make it loud enough so that people can hear and we can wonder together. I was wondering why it seems that the people who are the most downtrodden are the ones that have to be the bravest to make God's dream come true. Jared wonders where we see Jesus in this story. I couldn't hear. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I've got that correct. You see Jesus in the story because Jesus was accused and abused and made fun of, and he accepted it and was loving and loved back, just like Ruby did. Yeah. Thank you.
I wonder if any of the haters changed their minds.
I wonder if any of the haters changed their minds. Angela sees Jesus in the policeman who, yeah, we're not used to seeing that. Yeah. I see Jesus also in Barbara Henry. Katie wonders if the big lie will ever rumble away. Oh, yes. I do wonder what it's like at dinner table with mom and dad. Yeah. Thank you all for wondering with me today.